Hello. Hey, I just need a minute. No, you're right.
Oh my God, my computer's been ridiculous.
Oh, I love the new background.
Oh, yeah, thanks. It's been there for a while, actually. I forgot that you probably haven't seen it.
No, but I love it. I've got butterflies behind me too. Even better.
All right. Okay. Wow. What a morning.
It's been like that, hasn't it?
It has. Now I can't find my Zoom. There we go. Hey, I'm here. I didn't even have it on my screen, so I was like doing something totally separate.
It's all good.
Oh, well, I'm not even sure. Oh, this is recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Extraordinary Women's Interview Series sponsored by Unique Vibrations. I'm Donna Ferguson, and we've got an extraordinary lady with us today who's going to share an incredible story that she has, along with some information about her business and what she does and how you can get in touch with her. So I am so excited to have Melly S with us today. Melly, welcome to the show and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. I'm just going to let the audience know exactly who you are. So Melly is a author, keynote speaker, trainer, facilitator, videographer, and an award-winning photographer. She's an entrepreneur and host and founder of the Courage 1000 Project web TV show, and her mission is to help deep-feeling women reclaim their confidence, joy, and purpose, both in business and in life, from a world that overwhelms their hearts, minds, and souls. And I think we can all use a lot of that, Melly. So thank you and welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, I know it is. I'm glad, it's a great honor to have you here because you're really doing some amazing things. And before we really move into all those things that you do, let's start off a little bit. Just share with us exactly who you are and what your life growing up was like.
Okay, so I am one of those deep feeling women. And as a child, it was really overwhelming.
Yeah.
I always felt what other people were feeling. And as you can imagine, from a child's perspective, feeling that your parents are worried about money or there's issues with a friend and you don't quite understand what's happening. All you know is these emotions are way too big for you to cope with. So on the outside, my life was great. I never had any trauma as a child, nothing like that. We went camping all the time. I was constantly climbing trees. It was great. I really had a wonderful childhood. But in the background, there was all these emotions that I didn't know how to deal with.
That's a lot to deal with as a child.
It is. And you don't have the vocabulary to be able to say to an adult, this is what's happening. Someone help me. So it's been a lifelong journey to deal with that and figure out what's going on so I could understand it and then help others with it as well.
Exactly. So yeah, that's actually quite not traumatic, but in a different way, on a different level of not being able to open up and really like you say, voice what was happening to you as a child because you don't understand it yourself either. So,
exactly. And I created very bad coping mechanisms as a result.
Okay. Do you want to share some of those with us?
Yeah,
because I think, we all have different ways of coping and, I'm sure that when they see how successful and where you've come from and what you're doing now, that it is possible to change your life.
Perfect. Oh, I'm so excited to get into this.
Come on, go. Let's have it.
Big coping mechanisms as a child was because I could feel when other people weren't feeling good. So I could feel that they were in pain or they were unhappy. And I felt that the only way I could make myself feel better was to make them feel better. So I ended up in a very bad people-pleasing habit for most of my childhood, most of my teenage years. And I didn't understand how to make myself happy. because all I could feel was them. So it's like, okay, well, Dad's feeling depressed today. How do I make Dad feel better so I feel better too?
Wow. So that's a real strong empath, sort of at a very young age, and, you know, not having the knowledge to be able to protect yourself and find your own boundaries. And you would have just had, it would, I can't imagine. I mean, I know that I have to be really careful these days with my protection and my boundaries that I set, because I do very much take on other people's energy if I'm not careful, and really easily, like, it just slips in. And sometimes if you're a little bit tired or a little bit overwhelmed at whatever's happening or challenging you at the time, you can sometimes just, you know, it can be 48 hours later and you'll be like, oh my gosh, who did I pick up along the way? So, you know, I know what it's like as an adult when you can, you know, understand and trust your own ways of dealing with that. But as a child, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not taught those coping mechanisms as a child.
No.
So one of my big ones was people pleasing, just make everyone else feel happy and then I'll feel what they're feeling and then I'll be happy. And my other one was to withdraw.
Yes.
I just pulled away from everyone a lot. So while we were camping, I was usually off on my own. I'd be off on my own climbing a tree. I'd lock myself in my room. I'd write. I'd draw. My big thing was reading.
Okay.
I could lose myself in stories. I devoured the Babysitter's Club like you wouldn't believe.
That's interesting, Mel, that you say that. Like, you were camping, so you're climbing trees. It's like your automatic grounding ability at a young age to really get out there and get back to Mother Earth and ground yourself and remove those energies that were affecting you. And also, you mentioned drawing and writing, and that's almost the journaling and visualization that we have today. So you were really connected. What age did this start at?
I remember journaling from about 6 or 7 years old. This times it was, this is what I did today. This is what the weather was like today. But as my emotions got bigger, those journals got a lot deeper.
Of course, yeah.
I've still got them somewhere. I've kept them. And every now and again I will flick back through it and I think, oh, it felt like it was so deep when I was writing that.
Yeah.
And now I look at it and go, oh, that was quite trivial, but it really helps now.
For a 7-year-old?
Exactly. And my daughter is 7 and she's going through the exact same thing I went through.
Wow. So
I'm really conscious now when she's picking up on others' emotions to give her those tools and say, you don't have to feel this way. It's not you who is unhappy. It is that person.
Yeah.
Let it go find your happiness over there.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, what an amazing experience that you had to be able to pass that on to her. And, you know, I think there's a lot of adults today who experience this empathy, you know, deep empathy and spiritual side, you know, like even seeing different things and, you know, working through other things and, you know, talking to spirits and all sorts of things that people weren't able to sit there and journal or draw the picture or, you know, be able to ground because it didn't make sense to them in any way, shape or form. And they weren't scared of that, but it's the adults that created this fear of what that was. And, you know, it's such a shame because, you know, some of them have gone on to develop those skills that they had at an early age, but others have just fought it their whole life. And you know, that's a really sad thing. So,
and I've noticed that in my own family line. So it got to a point in my life where I realized it was time to finally accept I do have this ability.
Yeah.
And then it made me go back into my history and say, okay, well, if I've got it, does my mum have it?
Mm-hmm.
I know my mum does to have it to some degree, but she's never developed it.
Yeah.
And then I went back further and went, well, what about my nan? What about her mum? And the more I dove into it, the more I realized that there is this line in my family where we do have this deep feeling ability, but in the past it was too hard to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from my nan and my great-grandmother especially,
Yes.
in a society that definitely did not support that.
They weren't open to that really, were they?
No, they learnt to shut it down through
Yeah.
drinking, drugs, partying, whatever they could do to escape from it.
Mm. So unless they really were from that gypsy life, I suppose, and, you know, even if they weren't on the road as such, but really had those characteristics coming from generation and generation, it just was not. And they were then the weird family.
Yes, yeah. So they just learnt to be quiet.
Yeah.
Just say anything.
Exactly, which is such a shame. So many of us lose our voice at an early age because we've been shut down. So,
and I think we're very fortunate that we live in a time where we can stand up and speak about these things now.
Exactly.
And we're paving the way for the future generations to just own it. It's just a part of life.
Because life is a celebration, and, you know, if you can't be who you are and you can't voice your thoughts and your you know, your story and who you are, then, you know, and that went on for so many years. It's really become such a big part of learning and personal development these days, because there's so many platforms available to you to be able to do that. So, you know, that's such a good thing. So, you know, amazing, you know, amazing that you were able to keep in contact with that side and really move forward, because I know that you are doing amazing things these days. I know that your 1,000 what is it?
1,000 project.
The 1,000 project. I'm sorry.
You're right.
That's the one. You know, that's massive. I mean, that's a collaborative thing with a couple of other people that you're working with. Am I correct there? Or
no, it's just me. Through my own journey, I realized that one of the fundamental elements to reclaiming your life and who you are is having the courage to do that.
Yes.
Because it's not easy, and courage has that element of vulnerability to it as well.
Absolutely.
It's standing up and saying, this is me, take it or leave it. Really holding your heart out to the world.
Yeah. And I'm okay if you leave it, you know.
Exactly. If you want to break it, that's fine. But this is who I am.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I got to that point where I went, if I've been through this, is there others who have as well?
Absolutely.
And I really went deep into the courage, and I went, well, I want to know what courage is. What does it look like for these people? I know what it looked like for me. Is it the same for them? Like, what was their story? Where did courage present in their story? So I started collecting all these different stories of courage from women all over the world.
I know. It's so available these days.
It is. And it's been really interesting to find where courage presents in different people's stories.
Yeah.
Because it's never where we think it needs to present itself. It's always after the fact.
Always. And, you know, when you do learn to stand up, when you do learn to take that stand of being in your truth and honouring your higher self for the greater good, and even then, the courage isn't at that point.
No.
It's somewhere after that, like you say. So, you know, standing up and you know, when I first really voiced my story, and, you know, it was such a great day, and that went worldwide as well. And, you know, it wasn't until months later that the effects of that actually trickled in, and I didn't realize that somehow I'd held on to that.
Yeah.
As I let go of it, there were parts of that I held on to, and actually created some other challenges that I came up against because I didn't realize. I thought I'd let go of it as I spoke it. And this is why it's really important to understand and recognize within yourself, like you say, you look for that. You know, you want women to have the joy and the happiness and reclaim who they are and who they're meant to be in their life, whether it's business or personal, and really stand up and take that. And, you know, it's, you have to be so attuned to yourself to
Yes.
understand that there's something other than, you know, whatever it is in that moment, and look for that on a deeper level. And women don't have that unless they're given the tools. So, you know, I know you and I work very similarly with not what we do, but the results, I guess, and the way that we want to work with women, which is amazing. That, you know, we just give them those opportunities to take those tools away, and they've got them for life. They never lose them, and they absolutely know that they can tap into that anytime. You know, yes, they may need somebody to facilitate that from time to time, because sometimes it's too deep.
Yeah.
Or we're too connected to it to be able to release it. But when you can, first understand it, and secondly go, okay, well, I'm not able to do this myself. I need someone to facilitate that through a healing session of some sort. So, you know, it's incredible. And I just, you know, I love what you do, because, you know, I love what I do. And I know that we're so similar in what we do offer, as far as results go, and the way that we tap into that, you know, letting them.
We do have similar foundations. As you were saying that, I realised my philosophy is very similar to yours. My philosophy to helping people reclaim their lives.
Yeah.
You need to have the courage to get started. You need the self-awareness. So that bringing everything in our blind spots into our vision and really, really focusing on it and accepting it.
That's it.
And then having what I call radical self-love. So having the courage to then accept all of who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and going, this is me, it all serves me. And then bringing courage back in again at the very end, and then stepping out into the world and going, here I am.
That's it. Yeah.
So
taking on the next journey.
Exactly. And everything I've built is now based on that philosophy of courage, self-awareness, and radical self-love is other tools you need to reclaim your life.
Yeah, I just love that. It's such great philosophy to have as well. So, so Melly, looking at, you know, where you've come from, the work that you do, and moving into, you know, the way that you reach your women, what are the biggest things that you've learned along the way? You know, I mean, we learn so many lessons, but what are the 2 or 3 top 3 really major transformations that you've taken away from your journey? Because I know this will help someone else as well.
One of the big things that I love talking about is suppression. What happens over time is the more we please everyone else, we have these really bad coping mechanisms, we're suppressing who we are.
Yeah.
And that's got to go somewhere.
Exactly. And it just layers.
It just layers in. And for women, that means ending up in our womb. So it has to do something to our physical body. And unfortunately for me, that resulted in a miscarriage and then what I call my year of red, which was, it's horrible, a year of really bad endometriosis, and could be a 7-year journey to finally diagnose and complete that. But the key message in that is don't suppress, because it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I like to teach people is transmutation, which is a big word which scares a lot of people. Actually, whatever you're feeling, feel it. Don't suppress it, feel it, let it all out until you can feel light again.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a big thing I learned on my journey, was to let the emotions out.
Yes.
No matter how ugly, silly, no matter what they look like, they've got to come.
Turn the music up and dance like crazy ladies in the lounge room when nobody's watching, or when everyone's watching, who cares?
The second lesson that I learned was we have the tools available to discover who we are. They are everywhere around us. From
and within us.
Within, exactly. There's astrology, there's numerology, there's all these different personal development courses available to help you find who you are.
Yeah.
So I think we get stuck in this, I don't know who we are. We sit there, we feel horrible in it, but then we don't take any steps to find a solution. And it could be a simple quiz we find on Facebook, which gives us the next piece of our puzzle. So for me, definitely transmute those feelings, don't suppress them. There is tools available, so don't ever get stuck.
Yeah.
Ask for the solution the universe provides.
And be clear with what you're asking for. I think, that's a really important part of that message, because people will go, all right, this is what I want. And that's what they get. And then they go, that's not exactly what I wanted. Well, what exactly is it that you wanted?
Yes.
Be very clear. If it's, for instance, and I know this is lighthearted, but if you're looking for your soulmate, is he blonde with blue eyes, or is he, blonde with dark eyes? And, how tall is he? What's his lifestyle like? Be clear, write it down, because that's what you're asking for, not I'm looking for my soulmate.
Yes.
He might be your soulmate, but they may not be your ideal partner.
Exactly. I like that one. That's a really good one, actually. And I think my third one is more about our intuition and following it. And I know it is a really hard thing for a lot of people to accept and acknowledge, and I get that myself. My intuition, I've discovered, comes from a knowing. So it gets really confusing in my head sometimes, because I've got my thoughts and then I've got my knowing. And having the courage to accept that I just know things that I shouldn't know, and following that. Intuition is a huge part, and a big message I want to pass on to people is that have the courage to follow it. And even if you end up in a situation that you think is negative, there is a lesson in that for you, and your intuition keeps you there for a reason.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm very much the same as well. Like the suppression, it's everything that, the cause and effect of everything in our life is through emotion.
Yes.
And that emotion comes from an experience. So, sometimes I have trouble with my ears, and I'm like, why are my ears playing up? Okay, what am I not wanting to really hear here? And it's not because, my ears are blocked or there's an issue there. It's because there's something that I'm trying to put my head in the sand about, and it's like, okay, stand up, really listen to what's going on around you. Who have you spoken to? What are you wanting to hear? Or it could simply be that, there's a negative environment just a little bit away from you, but close enough for you to get that vibration. And so, you picking up on that. So I have to protect myself a lot more, or I have to, or it's more about being able to hold on to that and control what my boundaries are and how much of that I allow into my boundaries. So suppression is massive, and I totally agree. It does affect us in so many ways. And, those layers unravel and, unravel, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how much you think you've worked through it. There's always another layer to it, and it will come up when you least expect it. So absolutely. And really massive on intuition. I speak of intuition a lot about, when I'm teaching and when I speak, because that knowing, I know that I've had situations in my life that I haven't even thought about what that is that I need to do. It's just like, it's just gone. I've gone, well, how did I end up there? Like somebody's guided me to that space.
Yeah.
And, you have to trust that. You really have to trust that. And like you say, yes, sometimes you look at that and you'll say, this is not really where I'm supposed to be. This is not a great environment. It's not where I plan to be. And until you actually, which can take moments, hours, months, days, years, before you actually learn that lesson, you're going to stay in that space until you've understood it and walked away from it.
Yeah.
Because until you can accept and learn and really manage, so managing how you think, managing how you feel, if it's not your energy, redirect it and release it, which is it's very similar to what you do, what you said as well. And that's so important because you're in that very moment at that very time, because that's where you're meant to be for whatever the reason.
And that takes courage to have that faith and that trust.
Mm-hmm.
That this
Absolutely.
is best good, even if it feels horrible right now.
Absolutely. So, Melly, what is your key message or your legacy that you would like to leave or be known for?
When I saw that question, I thought that was a really good one. It's not something I've really considered,
Mm-hmm.
but my thoughts immediately went to my daughter.
Yeah.
And she is a big personality in a very little body, doesn't quite fit into society the way it is today.
Right.
And I think my legacy and everything I stand for is just to have the courage to be yourself.
Yeah.
The courage to be yourself, whether you fit in or not.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. If you're true to yourself, that is, to me, the purpose of life. That is the key to everything. So,
and that message will continue to carry on for not only through your generations of your own family, but generations of, other women out there that are looking for that support and that message and that knowing and, knowing that they can trust.
yeah. And I believe that's my purpose, is that through my own journey of coming to that point of going, I need to reclaim myself and feeling every damn moment of it, I get what other people go through.
Yeah.
So I really feel that it's now my purpose to then pass that information on to others and be the helping hand for them and say, it's all right.
Absolutely.
With generations of us hiding and pretending we're not who we are, it's for us to stand up and say, no, this is me, take it or leave it.
Yeah, I agree. It's so true, and it's really important. And, last couple of questions, I suppose. Who's your target audience? Who do you work with?
Deep feeling women. So women just like me.
Yeah, wow.
I tend to find deep feeling women who haven't learnt the lessons yet, who haven't got those strong foundations.
Yeah.
We tend to be stuck in overwhelm.
Oh, totally, yeah.
So we're overwhelmed by life, we're overwhelmed by family, we're overwhelmed by business. We end up in those really horrible places, depression, anxiety, burnout. And until we face the fact that we are who we are and set the foundations for ourselves and our abilities, then those things are just going to keep repeating in cycles. So the women I work with are deeply feeling women, and they're just overwhelmed, heart, mind, and soul, by a world that's too fast for them.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's such a big thing for women because, we've been preconceived for many generations and centuries to be this person who is, subservient, I suppose, to, our partners, our husbands, our children and everybody else. And it's really time. And you see so many of women standing up and really taking control of the situation.
Yeah. And I feel until we take control of our lives, the men can't do the work they need to do to stop being demasculated.
Yeah, exactly right. Because we balance. It's about balance. And until it's fully balanced, neither of us can be who we are until we bring that balance in. So, yeah, that's a really great way to, I guess, finish up almost on our interview.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful chatting with you.
So, yeah, it's been wonderful having you here as well, Melly, and learning so much more about you is really exciting. Before we do go, do you have a free gift for our audience today?
I certainly do. So if you are one of those deep feeling women and you're feeling overwhelmed at the moment, whether it be by life, by business, by a relationship, please reach out to me. And what I can do is a 3-card tarot reading for you and give you the insights you need to reclaim your life starting today. So nice, practical, easy to follow tips, action steps.
I might actually go for that myself.
Oh, we can do that straight after this.
That's incredible. I love that. And of course, Melly, we'll have all your links in. So if people register, they will get the gift. They will get your links to follow you and really reach out to you for anything that they feel that they would like to talk to you about, and sort it out from there. But it's been amazing having you here. Thank you so much again.
Just chatting with you.
I know, we're learning so much about each other. It's amazing, because not that long ago, Melly actually interviewed me. So for her 1,000 project, the Courage
1000 project.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. It's been a morning for me this morning, so I apologize. But look, it's just been amazing, and we are learning so much more about each other. And I think watch this space, because you don't know where the two of us are going to turn up again in the future. Thank you, audience, for tuning in today. Really appreciate that you've taken time out of your day to watch this extraordinary lady as she shares her story. So thank you all, and until next week, remember, you were born to be extraordinary, so don't ever settle for ordinary. Bye for now.